Tyranny in Geneva. Perhaps Calvin thought he was God's instrument to force irresistible grace, a key doctrine in Calvinism, upon the citizens of Geneva, Switzerland, even upon those who proved their unworthiness by resisting to the death. He unquestionably did his best to be irresistible in imposing righteousness, but what he imposed, and the manner in which he imposed it, was far from grace and the teachings and example of Christ. Some of those who profess a Reformed faith today, especially those known as Reconstructionists, such as the late Rousas J. Rushdoony, Gary North, J. Grimstead, and others, including organizations such as the Coalition on Revival, take Calvin's Geneva as their model, and thus hope to Christianize the United States and then the world. Many Christian activists of looser attachment to Calvin hope in their own way, through protest marches and the organizing of large enough voting blocks, to force an ungodly American citizenry into godly living. No one ever worked so hard at attempting to do this, and for so long a time, as Calvin. Durant reports, to regulate lay conduct, a system of domiciliary visits was established, and questioned the occupants on all phases of their lives. The allowable color and quantity of clothing, and the number of dishes permissible at a meal, were specified by law. Jewelry and lace were frowned upon. A woman was jailed for arranging her hair to an immoral height. Censorship of the press was taken over from Catholic and secular precedents and enlarged. Books of immoral tendency were banned. To speak disrespectfully of Calvin or the clergy was a crime. A first violation of these ordinances was punished with a reprimand, further violation with fines, persistent violation with imprisonment or banishment. Fornication was to be punished with exile or drowning. Adultery, blasphemy, or idolatry with death. A child was beheaded for striking its parents. In the years 1558 to 59, there were 414 prosecutions for moral offenses. Between 1542 and 1564, there were 76 banishments and 58 executions. The total population of Geneva was then about 20,000. The oppression of Geneva could not have come from the Holy Spirit's guidance. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 17. But rather from Calvin's powerful personality and extreme view of God's sovereignty that denied free will to man. Thus, grace had to be irresistibly imposed in an unbiblical attempt to inflict godliness upon the citizens of Geneva. In contrast to the humility, mercy, love, compassion, and long-suffering of Christ, whom he loved and tried to serve, Calvin exerted authority much like the papacy he despised. Moreover, he criticized other Protestant leaders for not doing the same. Seeing that the defenders of the papacy are so bitter and bold in behalf of their superstitions, that in their atrocious fury they shed the blood of the innocent, it should shame Christian magistrates that in the protection of certain truth they are entirely destitute of spirit. Calvin's defenders deny the facts and attempt to exonerate him by blaming what he did on the civil authorities. Bertner even insists that Calvin was the first of the reformers to demand complete separation between church and state. In fact, Calvin not only established ecclesiastical law, but he codified the civil legislation. He held the civil authorities responsible to foster and maintain the external worship of God, to defend sound doctrine and the condition of the church, and to see that no idolatry, no blasphemy against God's name, no calumnies against his truth, nor other offenses to religion break out and be disseminated among the people, but to prevent the true religion from being with impunity openly violated and polluted by public blasphemy. Calvin used the civil arm to impose his peculiar doctrines upon the citizens of Geneva and to enforce them. Zweig, who pored over the official records of the city council for Calvin's day, tells us, "There is hardly a day in the records of the settings of the town council in which we do not find the remark, 'Better consult Master Calvin about this.'" Pike reminds us that Calvin was given a consultant's chair in every meeting of the city authorities, and when he was sick, the authorities would come to his house for their sessions. Rather than diminishing with time, Calvin's power only grew. John McNeill, a Calvinist, admits that in Calvin's latter years and under his influence, the laws of Geneva became more detailed and more stringent.